Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Zach,
And I'm Pepper.
and today we're going to have the board games take our money because we're going to be looking at some crowdfunding campaigns going on right now, and also one that's a little bit different, not really crowdfunding, but is currently in a special pre-order that they don't usually do. So we thought we would throw that one in there. Um, but yeah, we don't typically back too many projects, so we're just kind of looking at a few each time we do one of these and see what we think of them and whether or not we would actually back them. But yeah, let us know in the comments below if there's any games you're currently backing or thinking about backing, and yeah, let us know about those so maybe we can check them out as well and get tempted to spend all of
Ye-
our money on the board games.
yes, yes. And I think this week there will be at least one that will be joining our collection.
That is true. And that one is probably, well, I guess I'll speak for you, Pepper, but I think that's the one that is a little bit different than the rest, and you can probably see it on the screen right now.
Yes.
That is Stonemeyer Games' Expeditions. So it's their new game.
I see your
And
cursor just hovered towards Tapestry there.
well, I gotta go for Tapestry too. Um, but yeah, this is going to be their new game. It's a sequel to Scythe, which is probably one of their most popular games. They do have Wingspan, which is probably their most popular.
Yeah, it's crazy how
Scythe
they
is,
can have Scythe and it's still like a question as to whether that is their most popular game. Like
yeah,
there's almost even like three options. It's crazy.
right. Because yeah, Viticulture is right up there too. At least with I think the Essential Edition and some of the expansions. That's going to expansion. Once you put all that together, I think Viticulture is right up there as possibly their top game as well. Um, so yeah, but this is one that's going to be a little different than the rest because yeah, they're going back to an old world that's very popular. And from what I looked at, some of the videos that Jamie's put together, it does seem like it has a bit of some of the feels of Scythe in it. So I can see why he would call it a sequel, but I think that's going to set it up for some possible high expectations that it
Oh,
may not be able to
yeah.
live up to. But um, you'll have to
Yeah,
see.
for sure. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Scythe. Definitely not as big a fan as you, but just hearing that there's another game in the universe, obviously the universe kind of based on that wonderful artwork.
Mhm.
Just getting to see more of that definitely has me pretty excited. Plus, just any Stonemeyer release, I'm going to be excited for.
Mhm. So yeah, so this one is definitely being made. You can read the rules, go to the Stonemeyer website, and see kind of all this stuff, and currently pre-order it. I think at the end of the week that we're filming this, they're not done with their pre-orders, but to 100% for sure that you'll be in the pre-order that I think is going to be done by like July 2023. Um, I think it's locked in by this week, but then after that, I think they're still going to have a bunch of copies that you can still pre-order up until that date. But just a way to lock in. And yeah, so I think this one's a bit of a exploration game where you're kind of going out and trying to clear the corruption tokens from the land and move these nice big mechs. The mechs in the original game, I think you can see them here, comparatively are already pretty big, but these ones are
Yeah.
um, quite large in comparison. So yeah,
Yes.
you're kind of moving those around versus a character that you would have inside, and kind of yeah doing several different things. And then there's kind of I think there's still um, pieces like Scythe where you're racing to get stars, glory tokens. It looks like they're called, and yeah, I'm definitely interested in this one. I think they have on their website anyway. So you got a couple different options. You can either get with the metal mechs for it looks like $100, or with the plastic mechs for $70. So it's a little high in price if you're not 100% sure. And the lucky thing with these ones is if you don't back it now, I'm sure at least at
Yeah.
some point in time you'll be able to still get them. I'm sure they'll still be printing them.
Yeah.
Stonemeyer Games is usually pretty good about
Yep.
reprinting games if they're wanted by a large enough crowd. So I don't think this one's
Yes.
necessarily something you have to get if you're not 100% sure. Um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I think it has a potential to be a big hit if it's as good as size. So
That is asking a lot. So
that is asking a lot. Um, but yeah, so there's that one, and then we actually get into the Kickstarters, the crowdfunding, and we've got right off the bat 4 small boxes, 4 big games, 4 unique experiences: Chomp, Sail, Couture. I don't know how to say it.
Couture, yeah,
Couture and Mind Space. It looks like it's doing pretty well. It's
yeah,
got 5,000 backers, and still got 10 days to go. So for being small boxes, that's seems like a pretty impressive
yeah.
kind
That's
of amount.
yeah. What was the publisher on this one?
That is
Catchy.
Board Game Tables, which I think is
Oh,
now changing their name to All Play, which I think is currently the sponsor for the Dice Tower. Um, so I think they had a playthrough of all of these,
yeah,
and that was like in the matter of a couple hours they were able to play all 4. So I think they're
yeah,
all kind of very quick to learn, approachable games. They all kind of seemed like they did different things. Like you can see here, they're only $19 each. So you got a layered tile laying game, cooperative trick taking, multiple simultaneous auctions, puzzly polyomino roll and write.
yeah. I
So
like how they lay that out and kind of give you a brief summary of each of the games, and
yeah.
also each of the covers just looks great. I think I really love the artwork for all of these. I don't know if it's. I'm guessing they're different artists, but just each one of them kind of
Mhm.
have a similar feel, similar vibe. But like I
Mhm.
really like that sail cover for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like that one as well. It's probably my favorite of the 4, but like you said, I think they're all 4 of them are pretty solid covers. And yeah, I had listened or watched I think most of that video, and I think I was kind of equally interested in all of them. Um, not sure long term which one, if I only got one, which one would seemed like it would have had the most replayability, but um, I think they all looked like very interesting different games, and they all looked like they could still all be good games. So that's always a good thing because sometimes it's like, well, 1 or 2 of them are good, and the other 2 are kind of
Yeah. Yep.
possibly misses. But it seemed like they all had a good chance of being some good games. And then it looked like you can buy some
Expansions and
mini
upgrades.
mini expansions and upgrades for some more
Ooh, look at those
dollars.
brain dice.
Those do look interesting. I wonder how well they roll. They probably roll pretty well. Um, yeah, I mean, it looks like some solid stuff. Free if you buy the 4 game bundle. Let's see. You
Ooh,
get all of this if you buy all of them.
wow,
Interesting. So yeah, that looks like.
nice.
I mean, if you are interested in all of them, maybe this is the time to get them. Because yeah, it looks like it should be a bunch of extra
Yeah,
goodies.
it's really cool. Wow.
And Tom Vassell, they just know how to make good games. That's all he's got to say about that. Um, a $4 shipping within the contiguous United States, that's pretty good too. Um, so yeah, it looks like so this one, yeah, you're kind of, I think, kind of getting areas of the same dinosaurs and then making sure you're feeding them. So you're kind of just that laying out of cards, or I think it's tiles, they said.
Yeah,
This one, you're trick taking cooperatively to try to move a ship from kind of one side of the board to the other. Looks like it could be pretty difficult. I think Z and Tom played on the easiest setting, and like after the first round, they were like almost cocky because everything was going so well, and then it just kind of fell apart. Um,
that is
it,
what happens.
and this one, I don't know why, but it made me think of Nidavellir, but I don't, I really love Nidavellir, so it probably isn't quite that, but you're kind of bidding on multiple things at once, kind of blindly or hidden, is what it looked like. Or yeah, I didn't watch this one as closely or listen to it as closely, but if it is anything like that, that would be right up my alley. And then the old roll and write, which seemed to do an interesting thing where it was similar to, um, I guess there's Corinth, that kind of you put the dice, kind of stack them with the numbers. But
Yeah,
these ones you already have them kind of set. Like this will always be ones, this will be twos, threes, fours, five, and then these cards will be changing, and you're kind of drawing in your brain. And I don't know, looked like it could be thinky. Probably why they call it mind space. Oh boy, shaken.
oh boy, Chomp. I do like that name.
That is a good name. That's a very solid name. Those look
Ooh,
cool. I don't know if you
okay.
needed components. Oh, it is tokens out there. Oh, yeah, and you do need them. You do
Okay,
need those
I'm
ones.
getting more and more convinced to back this as we scroll through.
Oh, now you're on the
Oh,
high
does the box
seas.
cover actually do that? Because then I'm in.
I wish it would do that. That would be pretty sweet. Um, yeah, all this looks like even in the game, some solid components and some solid artwork. Uh, just for all of these, like you said. Oh boy, the game box does that as well. Yeah, they all
Yeah,
kind of feel different, but like you said, kind of still feel like they're almost in
yeah,
the same, kind of made by the same person artwork wise and kind of in the same family of games. But yeah,
yeah. I don't know if I had to choose just one. I mean, kind of the polyominoes and the dinosaur one; those seem a little more familiar and maybe safe picks, like guaranteed to enjoy. I don't know. I would think. But then also like a cooperative trick taking. We played a couple of those with the crew and um, Fox and the Forest duet, and that's always an interesting combination between those two. So while
mhm,
that one doesn't feel as like up my alley, it also has me very interested. Then as
mhm,
well with the other auction one, something a
yeah,
little more out there, but
mhm,
interesting for sure.
yeah. It looks like it's supposed to deliver by September of this year, so I don't know.
Yes.
Um,
So how much is the all in?
the all
This
in
four
for the
games.
4 boxes was $76. So
Oh
that's not
wow.
not
That
awful.
comes with all the upgrades and
It looks like
everything.
it comes with all this.
Oh
Otherwise, you
boy.
can add in some of their other. Looks like you can add in some of their other titles as well for almost
Oh
two
my
hundred
goodness.
dollars. Um,
Oh wow.
kind of different things they have here. Some of their other games. But yeah, I would definitely if any of these look interesting to you, I would check out the Dice Towers playthroughs. Uh, I think they had someone from the company there teaching all the games, so I think that should be a good way to see how they're played if you're interested in any.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that's a lot going on there. A lot of good stuff. And now, Pepper, you're gonna have to explain this one to me because we had talked about which games we wanted to do,
And
and
this was my contribution.
this is what you added, Pepper.
All I saw was solo mode right there, and I was like, okay, get this on here.
So we got horror game show the board game.
Yes. So this is kind of in the vein of a lot of movies nowadays where you have contestants in some sort of competition or game show where their lives are at risk. And then
Mhm.
this one, you are controlling the contestants. I think you get like maybe 12 people on that board. But most of all, you are the producers, and at the end of the day, you don't really care exactly if your characters live or die, just as long as they get you views and fans and money. So I think
There
there's a
you
little
go.
bit of deck building here,
Mhm.
as well as moving around the board. Obviously, I think there's chasers, villains that you can send in there to maybe go kill your own people or your opponent's people. Yeah, not a very family-friendly theme.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, there's traps and different things on the map. I think you can hide as well, so you can just stumble on someone. And the combat in this actually interested me a little bit. Kind of reminded me of Dwellings in a way where
Oh,
you
yeah.
each roll your dice, you rank them from highest to lowest, and then you compare your highest, and whoever
Mhm.
wins that match deals a damage. Then the second highest, whoever wins that match deals a damage. So even if someone did get the highest one, if you outmatch them in your second, third, and fourth highest dice, you would deal 3 damage to their one. And I just thought that
Oh,
was a,
interesting.
a really cool way to kind of balance the roles of them.
Hmm. That's
But yeah,
interesting. Um,
but yeah, also a ton of miniatures and all that. Um, and most of all, just an interesting theme. It looked like that probably came through pretty well. Also, at some point, just a quarter of the board just blows up and kills everyone in it. At,
oh,
as
I
it
did not know
narrows
that.
down.
I did
Um,
not know that part.
uh, but yeah, so I think that's definitely one where you're going to have to be into the theme of the game, which
Mhm,
I'm actually probably neutral on that.
mhm,
Um,
mhm.
doesn't offend me, which is halfway there,
All right.
back in it. But yeah, it looked interesting. It had some interesting things. I don't know if it's enough to get me to go all in on it.
Mhm.
Don't know if it would actually like really provide much that I don't already get in other games, but
Right.
uh, it is on my radar now because also that box there, kind of looking like an old TV box there, kind of cool vibe, retro. So,
Yeah, I watched the video on this one and I was like, yeah, I don't know that I have all that much interest in this one. Um, and I don't know, the miniatures seem something about them seems like too smooth to
it
me.
does.
It's not, I don't know what it is about it. Not saying they're bad, but I don't know that they're my favorite, but I don't know if it's just kind of this picture of them or how they're showing them here. Maybe they look different in actuality. Um, and then I think the artwork wasn't really doing it for me. And
Yeah.
yeah, I would say this isn't a theme that I'm too interested in. Um, so I think it would take a little bit for me to um, want to back this, but I think there's definitely going to be a fan base that would like
Mm,
it, and I think this is definitely a game that feels like it should be on Kickstarter,
yeah.
because it's kind of looking for that probably more niche audience, just because of like you said, the theme's a little more adult, and it's kind of uh, yeah, it's just something that I think some people are going to like, and some people may just not like that much at all. Um, but yeah, I don't know, even if I had the chance to play this one, if I would. Maybe if someone
Yeah.
had played it and they really, really liked it, I would probably then give it a try. But I would
Yeah.
say this one's not too high on my list personally.
Yeah. Yeah. It is interesting, kind of the more like with this and Final Girl, and I don't know how
Mhm,
much that leans into the horror, but I'm guessing pretty much. I know you've played it, but it's interesting how
mhm,
that's kind of getting a little bigger. That theme, just a horror movie
mhm.
themed games,
Yeah,
and
that's
they have
true.
Horrified as well, which is a little lighter take on it, I assume.
Oh,
But
right.
it's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, this one seems like it's probably on the most horror kind of mature of it, and then
Yeah.
probably Final Girls is somewhere in the middle, and then yeah, Horrified. Seems like it's a little more family friendly. I haven't played Horrified, but yeah. So yeah, if you're interested in this type of game, this is probably one that you'd want to back on Kickstarter because I don't know I don't know if they'll
Yeah.
reprint it or not, just because it's kind of a smaller. I think this was their first created, so um, yeah, they hadn't made any before, so there's potential that this is going to be one of your only chances to get it. But
Yeah.
yeah, then we go into the blueprints of Mad King Ludwig, a flip and sketch strategy game. And this is from Bezier Games, which we have a few of their games.
Yeah.
And it looks like they've created 20 of these projects or 20 different projects, so they have a little more experience. So I think this is another one, kind of like when we were talking about Stonemaier. I'm guessing you'll have a chance to buy this one after the
Yeah.
fact, if you don't really want to back it currently, can't afford to currently, or if you wanted to wait and see kind of what thoughts were on it once it came out. I think that would be have a chance to do that. But this one to me, it looks interesting, but then as I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I just don't know, I guess. Just because we've already got several kind of polyomino blink and right games, and there's a few that I really like. I really,
Yeah.
really like Cartographers. It's one of my favorite games. And then I like the Isle of Cats one quite a bit. I don't know if you like that one as much. Um, and then the Dinosaur Roar and Right, Dinosaur Island Roar and Right, I liked probably more than you as well. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, this looks to be a little bit different, but I didn't know if maybe it was looking a little too complex, possibly. There just seemed to be a
E-
lot going on.
Yeah, it just makes me want to play Castles of Mad King Ludwig. I've never played that one, but just kind of seeing the shapes of all these polyominoes reminds me of that, and
Hmm.
that is one that I've been wanting to try for a while. So that it looks like you said, more complicated. So I assume it's going to be pretty close to that.
Yeah,
Oh,
like all of this stuff seems like it's a lot going on, and maybe it's not. It just, and then like the drawings of these, like I couldn't really tell because it had like kind of see-through cards, so you could
oh
like put
yeah.
it on there, but you don't actually draw on those, right? Or you don't draw
I
through those. They're not like stencils.
I think you do. I think you have like a sketch overlay that you put on the card, so you can see what's on the card through it, and then I think you draw according to that shape. Kind of just cheat drawing, maybe, or maybe the card does stay under there. I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
that's what I couldn't really tell. I mean, so and that probably is the case, just because PR in this looks pretty precise, and I don't think
Yeah,
I could do that if it wasn't. Um, but yeah, so if that's the case, then maybe it's a little easier than I thought. I didn't actually watch someone play it or see if you kind of or how that's exactly done. But yeah, just seemed like it had a little bit too much going on, possibly, and
yeah.
then kind of the price point as well. Um, so the real retail edition looks like it's $40. Which I don't know once it actually comes out to retail in the future. It might be a little bit more than that, but it might be the same or even less possibly. And then the deluxe edition is $70. And $70 just seemed like a lot when
Yeah.
I have cartographers already. And
Mm,
pretty much
yep. Yep.
everything, everything cartographers. Um, yeah, I guess if you want a playmat and all these different goodies, game tray storage, and all this stuff. You could
And
probably
an
get the deluxe.
upgraded castle-shaped pencil sharpener.
If you want that, you better back the deluxe $70 edition. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe they'll have. I don't know if they'll have that after the fact. I'm sure they might have it after for a little bit at least until they
Yeah.
run out of copies, and then probably decide from there if they'd make it again. Um, Yeah, I mean, it looks interesting and
Yeah.
it looks good. Or I mean, I like the look of the box and stuff, but I guess I don't know that it's that I need another one right now unless I think this is one that I would wait and kind of see once
Mhm.
it comes out if people are like, wow, this is now the best Bourbon Right game out there. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
I'd obviously have to look into it a little bit more and possibly get my hands on it. But
Yeah, for sure. Just with that price point, it's just a little much with so many others out there. And
right.
even with the game that this is based on probably being more appealing to us already.
Right.
And then
And
I
then it
don't,
looks like it's another $20 almost in shipping.
yeah,
So, and it starts to get to be almost $100 if you're getting the deluxe. So,
yep.
just a little steep for us, but probably for uh, a bourbon right. But I'm sure there are people out there that really enjoy, because yeah, like you said, we haven't played Castle or the Castles of Mad King Ludwig.
Yes.
So we haven't played that one yet. So maybe if you are someone that really enjoys it, this might be perfect for you to kind of change it up a little bit. But
Mm, yeah.
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 So then we get into our final one here. And I guess have you looked at this one at all or not too much?
I looked kind of overall at it. Yeah,
Okay.
a little
So yeah,
bit.
this is our largest one, broke $1 million. Um, has 7,000 backers, so that's pretty good. And I feel like this was one that I'd seen like a lot of ads for like Facebook and stuff like prior to.
Yeah.
So I think there was a lot of people had kind of known it was coming, which is
Yeah.
I guess a good thing for when you're running a Kickstarter. You want as many people to know obviously as possible. Um, and I was very interested when I saw this box. It looks
Yes, it's a very nice cover and a great name to the game as well.
yeah, I would
Stone
agree.
Saga.
I would agree 100%. And yeah, I would say that yeah, it looked very exciting. yeah, so this is one that I was definitely interested in, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to check it out more because I didn't really know much about the game, but that looked interesting. Um, but I'd seen that it said campaign
Yeah,
survival game, and it kind of scares me a little bit more these days, just because survival could mean very difficult game, like it's very
yeah,
taxing, and campaign game sometimes those just get to be a little bit too big, too much going on, or too long.
yeah,
You might have like I don't know, 50 hours of gameplay or something like that, and then it's just kind of like, oh, do I have that time to dedicate?
yeah.
But yeah, so looked into this one a little bit more. Still don't know if I fully know everything that's going on, but there were several pieces of it that seemed very interesting to me, and a little bit different than some other games. But those interesting things also seem to be things that I'm not sure if that kind of new uniqueness would kind of wear off after a while.
Yeah,
It sounded like this was going to be like a 30 to 40 hour campaign. So it's kind of up there in a, longer campaign type thing again. At least for us, it seems
yeah,
that, I mean, I guess I don't know how long the individual games are. I didn't check that, but
yeah.
um, I'm guessing that's at least 15
Oh,
plays of it, I
yeah,
would
yeah.
guess.
60
So,
to 120 minutes looks like.
yeah. So 15 to 30 games of it. Uh, but like all the components looked really good.
Yeah,
I thought it was a good package of tiles and some not standees miniatures and just the card and the artwork and all that. And here's kind of one of the things I found was pretty interesting. Each of the so you set out kind of these plates of three tiles and you set them up upside down originally, and then on the backs of them they kind of have a cloud that kind of covers up most of the stuff, but kind of reveals a little bit of what could be under there. And kind of throughout the game, you're using like the different landscapes to do specific things. So you kind of want to go to potentially a water area if you're going to try fishing or something like that. And I just found that kind of cool. But like I said, I don't know if that's a gimmicky thing where it's kind of cool the first times you're doing it, and then if you're playing it for the 10th
yeah,
game, if it's as cool, I don't know.
yeah. Could
It's
just
hard to
become like, well, there's water over there, so just do
right.
that. Yeah.
Right. And
Crafting.
this was the thing I thought might be the most interesting is you are so throughout the game you're getting items, you're putting them in your bag, which was another thing I found interesting, which let's see if we've got it here. Now I'm going through all the good information, but so you've got your character board here with a baggie and you have to fit your tokens in this bag. It's a double layered item. But that was another thing I don't know if that's going to get old after a while and it's like well, I don't really care that much. Just get rid of whatever I don't need currently. But yeah, you're storing your stuff there and you store things like stones or sticks or whatever. And you can kind of uh, craft those into slightly better objects potentially. And then later on, hope to kind of craft those things. You put them together certain ways to kind of create weapons or other things. I thought this was probably the thing that I found the most unique about the game. Seems like a really cool system, and it sounds
Yeah,
like
for
you
sure.
can even like do different things where if you put this stone on the stick, like this way that it's showing, you make a spear, but maybe you put the stone with the stick the other way, and it makes like a hatchet or something.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that sounded really really cool. But and then the inside of the box, you get symbols I think throughout the game, and you can draw on the inside of the box. That sounds cool, but I'm not that good at drawing, so I don't know if it
Yeah.
actually would be.
Yeah, if we were in charge of doing that, it would not look like that.
Right. Exactly. So, um, yeah, the and then like just to get into the game, it's already $100, which is probably fine if it's really a 30+ hour campaign. Um, it's a lot of stuff, but it's still just a little bit much, I think, because I can't really tell, um, yeah, how I mean, obviously, I think it's always hard to tell for campaign games, kind of if there's going to be kind of always new things, but then that's not always the best
Yeah.
thing because then all of a sudden it starts getting more complicated and more complex, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I haven't played this in a while. If you're playing it with kind of the same group, So it's like, oh, I forget what was the rule on that, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, with this one, I don't know if it'll introduce that many new things, but I
Mhm.
kind of read that it's just kind of your civilization type thing over a long period of time. So even the
Mhm.
characters can come in and go out, and they'll
Mhm.
become legends for your
Right.
future generations, and you can add additional players. So I like that. I don't know if that
Mhm.
actually works really well, but they say you can add additional ones and just one-off characters as well.
Right.
So it's
Yeah.
nice to have like a flexible player count for that.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I don't know if that really sounded like the game evolved really at all,
Right.
or if it was just kind of maybe your characters a little bit.
Right. Yeah, that's what I wasn't sure of. Yeah, here's some stuff I found. I thought the dice looked pretty cool.
Yeah,
I like that look on them, and kind of all this artwork on stuff and whatnot looks really good. And oh, this was something I think a couple people had mentioned that I listened to. There's these reference cards in the game which kind of explain or like all the major rules, at least the initial ones, so you don't have to go back to the rule book. You're like, oh, during this phase, what do you got to do or whatever it is. So it sounded like these were really solid, which
nice.
makes me wish more games did this. Um, but um, at the same time, I think Board Game Co. had said that as you learn new rules, you have to like write them down in your book that you're writing down, like the same book that you're using to like write down your combos, like, oh, I put a stick and this thing together to make the spear, because your weapons and stuff will kind of
Oh,
break over
yep.
time and stuff, so you have to remember how to potentially make them again. um, but you also have to write your rules in there, so I wasn't sure about that. That seemed kind of weird.
Yeah.
I don't know if that means it's not in the rule book or if that's just for easier access. I'm not 100%
Mm,
sure on that. But yeah, and then the kind of mini games they had in the game also sounded kind of interesting. So it's a lot of these things that sound interesting, but I don't
yeah.
know in the long run
Yeah.
um, how that'll work. I think they
Yeah.
had this one where you're putting out things and trying to explore these areas, and then possible monsters or whatever come out. Fishing, you're kind of picking a stream to go down or whatever, going. I don't know. It sounded
Yeah.
cool, but long term, I don't know.
Yeah. It's just it does feel like a risk. Um, just like, is this even going to work for us?
Mhm.
But it is, like you said, just so many unique things. I'm
Mhm.
very, it's probably the one that I'm most interested in playing of all these, probably by
Mhm.
far.
I would agree.
But yeah, just, it's just like expensive game, of course, and
Mhm.
you probably want to put in a lot of those hours to really feel like you got that out of it.
Right. Yeah. I would 100% agree. And yeah, I think if I was getting this one, I'd probably just get it at the $100 level, just because I feel like a lot of these big games you start at, or it's like, oh, I should just get the expansion so that I have it all, and then they just don't get played. So it's like,
Yeah, yeah,
I, yeah, but I would agree. I think this one seems the most exciting to me. If I had the chance to play one of these right now, this would be the one that I want to play
yeah.
100%. But I don't know that that also means that this is the one that I'm most likely to actually back and own.
Yeah,
I think back and own wise, it would probably, well, if I'm excluding Stonemaier game, it would probably be the Chomp sale,
yeah,
Mindspace
yeah. I think so.
Culture one. That one sounded
Yeah,
probably the most likely to be a hit for me.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, so yeah, that's the 5 games we looked at this week. Let us know in the comments below, like I said, if you're looking at backing anything, and we can check out those projects as well. But otherwise, we'll see you again in 2 weeks and take your money again. We'll definitely be taking it. But
Yes.
otherwise, we hope to see you on the next one. And as always, don't forget to keep on
Keep
nibbling
on nibbling.
on our content.